What if I was to tell you that there's something that could lower your stress levels significantly, lower anxiety, help you deal with panic attacks, lower your blood pressure, up your energy levels when you're feeling down, and increase your overall health and well-being? It's free, it's easy, you can do it anywhere, and you wouldn't have to change your lifestyle or diet significantly. Would you be interested? And that's what I'm going to talk to you today. Often underestimated is breathing properly. So here's a few facts to put all of this into context. We breathe roughly 20,000 times a day, and experts estimate that only 10 to 20% of us are breathing to our full capacity. Even more surprising is that by far the majority of our waste products leaves through our breath. I think it's around 70%. And to me, everyone's talking about what diet to be on and what micro and macro nutrients we need, and should we be eating more meat or less meat, and carbohydrates, and how do we get protein through plants, supplements, you name it, exercise regimes, health and well-being. We dive into and give so much energy to all of that, and nobody's talking about the most basic thing that our bodies need, which is oxygen. If only 10 to 20% of us are breathing to our full capacity, that means by far the most of us are starved of oxygen. We can go without food and water for much longer than we can go without oxygen. Every cell in our body needs a good supply of oxygen to work well. So if we take that 10 to 20% figure, it's no surprising then that so many of us are chronically tired, fatigued, stressed, anxious, and our well-being and health is not optimal. So today I want to give you some understanding around just why it's so important and what a massive impact breathing properly can have on your well-being. And I'm going to convince you today that this is one of, if not the most important habit that you start to form. And it's one of the most powerful tools you have in your arsenal against the challenges that we face in our daily lives, whether that be high stress levels, panic attacks, low energy levels, whatever it may be. The other and really important side of this is that there's a really big link between the way that you're breathing and your stress levels. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, so I'm just going to try and kind of summarize. You have two systems that you work from. One's your parasympathetic nervous system, one's your sympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system, rest and restore. When you're safe and all is well, your body's ticking over, should be generally most of the time in this parasympathetic nervous system. However, most of us are not there. Most of us are spending most of our time in our sympathetic nervous system. Our sympathetic nervous system is activated when there may be danger or threat. It harks back to caveman days when we needed to have a way of being able to react to danger, whether that be a saber-toothed tiger or whatever it may be. We needed to be able to pull all of our resources in to be able to either fight the threat or run away from it. So when our body goes into this state, this sympathetic nervous system, and it thinks there's threat, it pulls resources away from things that are not essential and just pulls all of your resources into the things that you're going to need to fight or run. The problem with day-to-day life for us that we really need to understand is that we still have this caveman brain and this caveman nervous system working in this way. But now our bodies cannot tell the difference between I'm going to be late and my boss might tell me off today, and I'm being chased down by a saber-toothed tiger. So it doesn't have to be a real threatening situation for us to step up into that fight or flight, that sympathetic nervous system, and to get ready to run or fight. So you can either breathe in a way that will step you up into that stress and keep you there, or you can breathe in a way that's going to bring you down out of it powerfully. Like in terms of this, I haven't found anything more powerful than the way you're breathing. And I think because breath is something that's just there, it's functional and it just happens. I think we don't really understand that there's a right and a wrong way of doing that, and we don't understand just how powerful it can be if we harness the use of our breath to affect the nervous system and to affect the oxygen levels in the body. So first of all, we should be breathing through our noses, and second of all, we need to be breathing from our belly. Belly breathing, or it's sometimes called diaphragmatic breathing. So I'm going to talk you through exactly how to do that in a moment, because there's an efficient, a correct way, if you like, that we can be doing that. But first of all, I just want to talk you through exactly what that does to our systems, because I think when we understand why we're doing something, it can have a much greater effect. Okay, so when we're belly breathing, we're breathing in through the nose, and as we breathe in, we're allowing the tummy to expand, the stomach. And by doing that, what we're allowing to happen internally is that we have a diaphragm. So our diaphragm sits at the bottom of our lungs. And when we breathe in and the lungs expand, the diaphragm goes down. When the diaphragm goes down, it pulls more, it kind of creates a vacuum and it pulls more air in. If we're belly breathing, we are actively drawing that diaphragm down and causing more air to come in. So what we need to understand about the diaphragm is that it's a muscle, and that by belly breathing, we are strengthening it. We're getting better at using it. And we also need to understand that when we're stressed, so when we're in that sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, and we're stressed, we breathe up in the top of our chest. We don't use the lower part of our lungs. It's all up here. So when we're breathing from the top, from the chest, we're trying to fill the lungs up from the top down. When we're belly breathing, and we're pulling that belly out, drawing that diaphragm down, we're filling the lungs from the bottom up. So we're pulling in more air when we're breathing from the belly. The other thing to understand about that is that the bottom of your lungs is it's rich in parasympathetic nervous system receptors. What does that mean? So remember earlier I mentioned about these two systems, our fight or flight, sympathetic, and our rest and restore is our parasympathetic nervous system. That's what we're aiming for. That's our deep, relaxed state where we restore. So there are receptors in the bottom of your lungs that when we breathe in this way, we set those receptors off and we actually switch ourselves into that parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and restore place. So by breathing in that way, we set our body into relaxation and rest, basically. So when we do that, when we switch our bodies into relaxation and rest, many, many things happen. Our heart rate lowers, our blood pressure lowers, and blood can flow to areas that it needs to flow to because it had previously drawn it away so that we could have all our blood and all of our resources ready to run. Now we're sending our resources back into the places that we need it. One of those is the digestive system. So when blood rushes back into the digestive system so we can digest our food more efficiently. So there's a lot that happens when we switch into that parasympathetic nervous system, and just by breathing into your belly, you can really make that happen. So putting aside the belly breathing, we need to understand what's going on with the nose. And this is really interesting actually. So our body was designed to breathe through the nose. And in our nose we have these little hairs called cilia. Now these cilia filter up to 20 billion foreign particles a day. That's amazing. So it really drives home that we weren't really built to breathe this way. It's a good system. We should probably use it. So we've got the cilia filtering those particles. And then on the other side of that, when we breathe out through our nose, we can let go of less air because it's smaller than our mouth. We're taking up oxygen in the lungs whether we're breathing in or whether we're breathing out. So when we breathe out and we let go of less air, we end up with more oxygen in the lungs and we uptake more. So we're actually taking up a lot more oxygen when we breathe through the nose. And the last thing with the nose is that when we breathe in through the nose, in our sinuses, we add in nitrous oxide, which is there to combat bacteria and viruses. So breathing through the nose is really helping us to be immune to bacteria and viruses in our environment. So put all of that together, the nose, the filtering, more oxygen when we breathe in through the nose, we're fighting against bacteria and foreign particles, we're strengthening our diaphragm, pulling more air in, switching on our parasympathetic nervous system, which is where we rest, and our blood pressure lowers. You can begin to see why breathing in this way is so, so important. So I'm going to take you through an exercise now and just teach you exactly how to use this type of breathing in everyday life. So let me show you exactly how we belly breathe. Simple stuff. Take one hand up onto the chest, one hand down onto the belly. Let's take a tester breath first. I want you to breathe in through the nose up to the very top and take note of how it feels at the hands. Now as you take these breaths, you may notice that the chest is moving a lot and the belly isn't moving a lot at all. You may notice the shoulders raising up as well, as if the shoulders are trying to help the breath. And this is the breathing up in the chest rather than breathing down into the belly. So let's try to coax in this belly breath now. So as you breathe in through the nose, you're going to allow your belly to expand. As you breathe out, you're going to allow your belly to fall. In and out through the nose, breathing in, allow the belly to expand. Breathing out, allowing the belly to fall. Let the chest relax, let the shoulders relax. This upper hand shouldn't be moving much at all. Just the belly rising and falling. Rising as we breathe in, falling as we breathe out. Okay, so something you may notice at the beginning there, it may feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's really normal. If you've been up here for a long time, it takes a while for this to feel comfortable. Remember, the diaphragm is a muscle that we're working, so the more you do it, the more natural it will feel. Just be gentle, just coax that breath down gently and slowly. So just as you breathe in, there's just a little rise to begin with, and then as time goes on, you can let that belly expand more and more as it becomes more comfortable for you. Another note is posture. So often if we are like this, if we're slumped over, there's not much space or room here to be able to breathe into the belly, and the breath will just move up into the chest. So if we sit up nice and tall, we create space in the belly and we can take nice expansive breaths, drawing the breath down into the belly. This is a habit, so allow yourself to form a habit over time. I used to use, I think it was when I made a cup of tea or when I was driving, that's when I would check in with my breath. So use something like that. The more you do it, the better you'll become, and you'll start to breathe that way naturally without even having to be conscious of it. One more thing that you can add in is to allow your breath to slow down. This is to use at times when you really need to calm things down. So you're going to breathe into the count of 4 and out to the count of 4. Still breathing into the belly, still breathing through the nose, all the same, but just slowly counting it up and counting it down. Nothing too strenuous, you're not forcing the breath, you're just coaxing it up to the top, allowing it all the way down to the end. So the count would be something like breathing in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Now if that's difficult, you can lower your count to 2 or 3 and you can change the speed. I often find that if I'm breathing in this way, it starts more difficult to get up to that 4, but then as everything starts to relax and expand, it starts to become easier, and sometimes you'll slow the count even more. You'll take your count up to 5 or even 6, and that's better for you if you can allow that to happen. So that's it from me today, guys. So I hope I have convinced you just how important it is to be breathing in this way, but the proof is in the pudding, so please do give it a go and let me know how you're getting on. I'm really confident if you try this, you will start to see just how relaxing this is, how it kicks everything down, and how it can even pick your energy levels up as well. So let me know in the comments below how you're getting on, because I absolutely love to hear from you. And if you would like to see more videos from me, so some of my videos are yin yoga and restorative yoga classes, some are meditations, some are videos like this. Hit the subscribe button and hit that bell so you can be notified when I do a new video. And other than that, just thank you for being here with me today, and I do hope that this helps you in some way.